I keep it 100, do it for fun, man, I do it for fun.
So Kevin, you've been in the social media game for quite some time now. We've recently learned that back in the day you used to be the MySpace guru, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So when it comes to business social media, sometimes it can vary a little bit from personal social media. So for any business owners out there, how would you get started? Because it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, I think it's really understanding like where your audience is. But on top of that, I think we got to rewind all the way. Do you understand your brand? Like, do you already have colors? Do you already have a logo? Because especially in the small business world, right? A lot of times people want to go cheap on the logo. Let's have my, nephew just throw something together. But your brand is everything. And when you're putting yourself out there, especially social media, you're putting yourself out there. How do you want to be presented? Who are you? What are you about? I think it goes back to the 101 basic marketing. You got to get that down first. And that's why I recommend before doing social media.
So even if they don't have those items, say a logo, brand colors, what would you tell them from that aspect?
Hire someone, hire professionals, go spend the money, right? And really, if you don't know who you are, there are people who specialize in helping people put together brands, right? They can put together brand guidelines. So when you go to your marketing agency or you even hire someone, right? Hey, here's the guidelines. Here's how we want to be represented to the public.
A lot of businesses too have been around for 30, 40 plus years. They've just never started on their social media journey. But in today's society, you kind of have to be on social media to stay relevant. What would you say, or how would you consult a business owner and let them know, hey, it's time to update your logo?
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily always updating your logo, right? It really depends on the relevance of it. How much of the people that are following your brand, do they really care for the logo you have now, right? Some logos are ugly as heck. And
would you like to give some examples?
For sure. Like it might look irrelevant. Example, Bass Pro, right? Bass Pro doesn't have the prettiest logo, but it's been that logo for a very long time. I grew up in Springfield, Missouri when he started in like a little gas station, right? Or a tackle shop. But that's how they're remembered. So that logo works really well for also their target audience, right? Because when you think Bass Pro, you're thinking outdoorsmen, people who love outdoorsmen aren't trendy. They're not trying to be simplistic, right? So the logo has a lot of intricacy to it, and it works for your big cedar lodges. Think Silver Dollar City. It works for that specific audience. So I think a lot of times when you're thinking social media, you don't want to do a bait and switch. Your social media looks a certain way, and then all of a sudden they walk into your place of business, and it's totally different. Right. You want it to be cohesive. Biggest mistake I see made in social media is non-cohesive branding, especially smaller brands, right? They might look a certain way on TikTok, and then Instagram, it looks totally different, right? But how do you have that cohesive branding?
Well, I want to point out something that you said, cohesive, but it doesn't have to be identical, because it is important to switch it up per the platform that you are using at the time. So I love that word in helping business owners who are fresh to the social media industry or area understand that it's about being cohesive.
Correct.
So I want to know, all right, you've done that. You have your brand colors, you have your voice, your tone, etc. What's the next step?
Yeah, I think the next step is, I'm in the camp, you don't have to be everywhere. You have to be where your audience is. If you have the money or the manpower to be everywhere, great, do it, right? Because nowadays, you almost need someone that's really good at TikTok. You need someone that understands Instagram and Facebook. It's almost each platform can have an expert. So it's not as easy as people make it. Oh, just be everywhere, just post, right? If you're just posting to post and it doesn't work, then what's the point, right? So I always tell business owners, where's your audience? And if you don't have the budget, pick your lowest hanging fruit. Which platform connects to your audience the most? So if you have an older audience and just happens they might be on Facebook, then do Facebook well, right? versus I feel a lot of time people spread too thin, and now they're just, even us, we're an agency, and we can make a mistake of, spread ourselves too thin. Like I stopped really posting on X, or it used to be Twitter, because that's not where my audience live. So for me, it's almost, we don't have the manpower, we're wasting time just being on there, right? So I think that is so important. Identify your audience, know it, and then know where they're at, and then show up accurately in those platforms.
Do you feel there's a way for business owners to find out where their audience is, whether that's looking at their competition, whether that's just doing a testing of seeing where they're, how would you go about that?
I think business owners need to they should know where their audience is at before they even start their business, right? And I think that's part of why there's so many failing business owners. You should have, as a business owner, you should have an intuition as to who you want to target, right? Who's buying your product when you start your business. But if you don't, you can hire people like us. You can hire agency. There's also research firms out there that can do the research for you.
So you've got your logo and branding and all of that is situated for the business owner. Now you're saying figure out where your audience is. What's the next step?
Yeah, the next step is execution. How are you going to do it, right? You have several options. You can pay someone to do it, which is an agency or a freelancer, or you can do it yourself. Then you have to ask, how much is my time, right? Are you able to do it quickly and you have enough understanding of it to do it well? Or are you going to take 8 hours to figure out a post, right? Think about, hey, can I take that 8 hours and do what I'm really good at to make money, right? So it's always sacrificing time, right? Are you able to handle it? Or you hire someone. Yeah. Now, are you ready for the cost of hiring someone? Because you can hire a social media person to just do social media. But now you have to ask the question, if I hire a social media person, do they know how to shoot video? Do they know how to do graphics? There's all these things. Used to social media was easier. You can just use stock photos. Now you need photography. So can you hire someone at the price point you think you can hire someone? So let's say a lot of small business owners think, social media management, I can hire someone within 30, 35K, right? Well, if that 30, 35K person most likely isn't a copywriter and most likely can't hold a camera. So they might be able to post. So are you doing yourself justice? Those are the questions you have to ask yourself.
What do you feel like are some of the biggest misconceptions that business owners have once they hit this point that they're ready to actually start the execution process?
Yeah, they think social media is easy, right? Because my kid can do it.
How often do we both hear, yeah, my 16-year-old niece, she's really good at social media. And it's like, not quite the same. I don't want to discredit her, but it's not the same.
And a lot of people think social media is free, right?
Right.
But then you also need data people to understand how to translate the data as to look at what you're posting and see if it's doing well, right? And translate those things, because at the end of the day, it's all about the goals and meeting those goals.
Absolutely. So we have kind of your 3 basic intro to social media for business owners. Step 1.
Step 1, know your brand.
Step 2.
Where your audience live.
Step 3.
Step 3 is really being able to go justify how am I going to execute and make it work.
Do it for fun, man, I do it for fun.